Right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Alexis Anderson. I'm the Scholarships Administrator here at the National Society of High School Scholars. Welcome to our annual Earth Day panel. Today, I'm joined by three inspiring students who have all been awarded with the 2025 NSHSS Foundation Earth Day Scholarship for their efforts and their commitment to sustainability in their communities. So today, we're going to get to hear from each student about their projects and what they're doing for planet Earth and how they're contributing to sustainabilities in their communities and inspiring other students to get involved. After their presentations, we'll have a chance to do a Q&A, so drop your questions in the chat. Yeah, without further ado, I'll kick it off to Samara to get us started. Thanks everybody for coming once again.
Hi everyone. My name is Samara. I'm gonna start presenting. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Samara. I am a junior at Freedom High School, a rising senior, and I also go to the Academies of Loudon. And I wanted to start off by wishing everyone a happy Earth Day. I'm incredibly honored to be here today. And I believe that the smallest ripple of action can create waves of impact, and that caring for Earth is not a duty, but a love story we write every day. As one of my favorite lines goes, the Earth does not belong to Earth, we belong to the Earth. Thank you all for joining today to celebrate, protect, and reimagine our world. I'm going to kick off with a question. And the question that I had for everyone today is which one of these can pollute an entire swimming pool if disposed of incorrectly? I'm going to give a couple of seconds for everyone to answer what they think, and then I'll reveal more information on this question. Okay, so the correct answer was a used battery, and it looks like 50% of you guys got that right. And I would like to give more information on this question. One battery can contaminate up to 132,000 liters of water, and that can fill up and be equivalent to an entire swimming pool. And my survey results when I started this project that I'm going to introduce about showed that a lot of people weren't aware of the improper disposal of batteries, and that's kind of what I wanted to share awareness on today. So my project is called the Battery Recycling Project, and I started this in Loudoun County, Virginia, in my high school, and expanded it all across Virginia, including hospitals and other high schools that I know people who go to, and use that as an opportunity to really spread awareness about this issue. The reason why I started this project was because I realized that many workplaces were placing these battery recycling stations that were not being used as much. And this kind of wanted me to research more into why these battery recycling stations are there and what is the real impact that these batteries can cause to our environment. So I decided to do some research, and then once I realized how big of an issue this really was, I wanted to take action and start off small within our Atlanta community with the hope that I would eventually expand it countywide and statewide. So I wanted to start off by giving statistics about the battery project and why this battery issue is more prevalent than we think. According to Heal the Planet, over 3 billion batteries are purchased and disposed of every year just in the United States alone. And less than 5% of these batteries collected are actually recycled. And this can also be thought of in another way when we think that single-use alkaline batteries alone can produce 86,000 tons of hazardous waste. And when we compare that to the large scale of over the 3 billion batteries that are purchased, this issue is something that is prevalent and that needs to be combated immediately. What happens to these batteries that are thrown away, that are purchased and thrown away every single year? And in order for me to explain that, I've created a little animation for you guys to see. And it kind of basically describes what happens from the second you throw a battery into the trash and where it goes and what potential impacts and effects this could have.
It's a sunny day outside, and today's the day that your trash truck stops by your house. So you dump all your trash into your trash can, and then the trash truck picks up all the trash. But what you don't realize is that there's a very toxic material, a battery. As the trash truck makes its way to the landfill and dumps out all the trash with the battery, eventually they'll burn all that trash, and a few months later, the chemicals, the trash starts to decay. Eventually, the chemicals from our battery will ooze into the soil, mixing up with our groundwater, which could cause us to ingest them. How can we prevent this?
So that was kind of my little video on why I was trying to show the impact that these batteries have and what effect it actually has when these batteries are being disposed of improperly. And my solution to this project was creating the battery box. This box in the right over here is the very first battery box I placed in my high school, Freedom High School. And in the next slide over here, I kind of showed the evolution that this box has had. In week one, we had around 20. By week four, as you can see, we had over 200 batteries collected. This part to me was especially reassuring because it showed that people are aware of this problem, but they need a closer solution in order to be able to enact on this project. The battery box I then decided to expand to different areas all across the state of Virginia. I placed one at the University of Virginia University Hospital, Academies of Loudoun, Freedom High School, and yesterday I also placed one at Broad Run High School. And the impact that this project has had is that over 20,000 batteries have been recycled all across Virginia. In the image to the right over here, I show me at the Loudoun County Hazardous Material Recycling Drive. This is a drive that happens once a month at the first Saturday, and it is across all the counties, including Prince William, Loudoun County, Fairfax County. And I have more information on that on my website that I will be showing at the end of this presentation. And these are two volunteers that take the time out of their day to raise awareness about these environmental issues. And they take time and they help with recycling the materials that are being disposed of improperly. This is the Loudoun County Hazardous Material Recycling Drive, and I have all of the batteries that I've collected each day. The most recent one that I visited is in this picture over here, March 22nd, 2025, where I took all the batteries, put them in a shoebox, and then I took them to the drive-through recycling drives and recycled them. In these two bottom pictures over here, I have me actually prepping the batteries, as these batteries cannot actually be disposed of they cannot be disposed of immediately. You need to tape this ends and make sure that there's no discharge of any chemicals in order to avoid landfill fires. I thought a really cool way to talk about what parts of the batteries are actually recyclable would be to compare them to parts of a sandwich. And in this image over here, I have parts of the sandwich and the battery, and the metal casing can show the crust of the sandwich. This part can be recycled, and it is as easy to recycle such as plastic bottles and cans. The liquid inside, also known as the electrolyte, is the spread of the sandwich, which helps everything stick together. This part can be recycled, but it is a bit trickier to do. The metal layers are the electrodes, which are the fillings of the sandwich. This is what gives battery its power. It can be recycled, but it needs special machines to separate them from other parts. The main reason for me putting this slide on here was to show that every single part of a battery can be recycled, and they can be done using machines, or they can be as simple as plastic bottles and cans. But there was soon another issue that I realized that some of these batteries still have some charge in them. And this charge was less, but enough for me to be able to use that to create workshops. Sorry about that. To create workshops for kids, and they can be able to use this as an opportunity to, and I use this as an opportunity to educate them about the environment. In this image over there, in the right over here, I hosted a workshop last Earth Day where kids made fans out of the batteries that still had charge in them. And I used this as an opportunity to teach them about environmental sustainability, as in order to have a cleaner future, we also need to start educating the future generations about the issues. This is my social media. I have an Instagram that's batterybox_Virginia. And the website, if you want more information on the different drives, I have the Loudoun County Hazardous Material Recycling drive dates. I have other counties' drive dates, the progress of how I made the battery box, where it's expanded, and I get more into more detail in my website. These are a couple of the awards that I won. I've been featured on the WUSA 9 News Show with Caitlin McGrath due to winning the STEM for Her Earth Day competition for my battery recycling project. I was the first place winner of Step Up Loud Youth Competition, which is a competition that encourages younger students in our community to create creative issues for solutions within our community. I've been featured on Loud and Now for creating an impact within our community using the battery recycling project, and of course, the National Society of High School Scholars, who provided me a generous scholarship and awarded me with this award in order to be able to expand my project even more. I would like to end off my presentation by wishing everyone a happy Earth Day, and my motto goes, let us charge for change and recycle together for a sustainable future. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon, and I'm a sophomore at Paragon High School in California. So my project is called the Recap Project. All right, so first the problem. So millions of pounds of clean medical waste are thrown away every year, even ones that people think are like medical medical plastic is commonly thought of as like dirty or contaminated, but just one thing that people don't know is that there's many like containers like these pill containers as shown in the picture, and the safety needle caps, which is the primary thing I recycle with my project. So this plastic is destined for the landfill or incinerator when people just throw it into the contaminated waste bins at medical clinics. And both of these are very detrimental to the environment as they can release toxic gases and they just fill up the landfills. And so my project, it takes clean medical plastic out of the waste stream and I turn it into useful products. All right, so what I collect. So here you can see a spread of a bunch of different varieties of plastics, all different colors. So on the top left, you'll see the vaccine caps, the ones that you remove before injecting a shot. These green ones are phlebotomy. These orange ones are allergy caps. And on this bottom left corner, you can see some of these tags. And then since May of 2023, which is when it started, I went from collecting only these clear caps on the top left to all of these different ones. And it's helped me create different varieties in the products I make. And it's just made the project a lot interesting and fun. So currently, with my project, I'm working with clinics, and this is the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm working with clinics in all these cities, as well as some down south. And I'm in 3 different health systems, Sutter Health, the Safeway Pharmacy System, and Stanford's Children's Health. I didn't update it on this presentation yet, but I'm also in Stanford Health, which is different from Stanford Children's Health. And in the coming years, I hope to expand my reach as far as possible. So the primary thing that I'm making right now are clipboards. So here's the process. So first, the plastic is collected in little bins in the medical rooms of each clinic. So you can see in the top left here, this is a little bin that I distributed with the sign. And then after each shot is administered, the medical assistants just place it into the bin. After which I collect these bins and I take them over to the nonprofit that I'm working with called Peninsula Precious Plastics, where I use the equipment to process the plastic. So here you can see the plastic caps are being fed into a shredder, where they're turned into tiny fragments of plastic, like on the right, where it's small enough where I can fit it into the mold. So you can see here, it's the mold, put the plastic in, and I'm free at this point to make it in whatever design I want to. And so here I've put some vinyl tops in. I can also put in other color caps. And then yeah, you can see after a little bit of cleaning the board, sandpapering it a little bit, made a good foothold. here are just some of the clipboards I've made. So yeah, you can see all types of designs. And after each clipboard, there's always some residue remaining on the sides that I have to scrape off. And I use these shavings to create interesting designs. You can see this red, white, and blue board on the bottom right. That was made with the American flag board for the pieces. So every little piece of plastic doesn't go to waste. All right, so what do I do with the board? So far I've made almost 200 clipboards with the recycled plastic. Now I've been redistributing these boards back to the medical staff that helps me collect these. So normally after each medical clinic, they hand me the plastic that they've collected. I usually give them clipboard as a present, and they're always super excited because it's kind of creating a cycle of sustainability. Like the people who are collecting the plastic for me, they're also receiving like boards made with the same plastic. So it's just a really cool and rewarding cycle. Yeah, cycle of sustainability. I know some clinics where they put the clipboards up on the wall, and overall the clipboards just remind people that it's important to be sustainable in their daily lives. Some nurses have told me that they've just been a lot more careful at home just because they're collected for this project, and I think it's another like win-win for this project. Like it's directly changing the plastic into useful products, but it's also inspiring others to be more careful. So aside from clipboards, I actually made this first sheet, which is about 1 meter by 1 meter long. It's about like 1 inch wide. So this is a huge sheet. I made it as an art piece, and it represents how far we've came with all these different colored plastics, and also what I'm planning for the future. So this is this is the first sheet I've made, but I'm planning to make other sheets with more like uniform colors, and I'm planning to use the laser cutter at Peninsula Precious Plastics into children's furniture, which then I can distribute back to the clinics. And this furniture, such as like stools and chairs, this would be more long lasting, and it would just create a longer cycle of sustainability. And yeah, I think I plan on distributing these to maybe like underprivileged clinics, and yeah. And here's some pictures of the Earth Day event at uh, the Sutter Clinic in San Carlos. Just all these staff holding boards. You can see the sheet here, and yeah, everyone's just having a great time. So far since my project was founded in May of 2023, I've kept over 538,300 pieces of plastic. I've used all those, and this is equivalent to 1,500 pounds of plastic, and I've made almost 200 boards and a giant plastic sheet. So in my next steps, I plan to expand my project as much as possible, just expand its impact in the San Francisco Bay Area. And yeah, like I said earlier, I want to go beyond just making clipboards, make plastic furniture in the future. And yeah, I plan to donate back to the medical clinics at home and just really keep it simple. So thank you so much for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, you can email me at this email. I'll put a link in the chat to my website where you can access all of this. But yeah, thank you so much. Follow the Instagram, Facebook to see what I'm doing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Srini Hotamana. I'm the founder of a nonprofit organization called Recycle My Battery. Before I move on to talking about this organization, I would just like to say Happy Earth Day to everybody. Today is a very important day, and I hope that with all of our efforts, and I hope that in the near future, we see more change makers out there who are willing to make a change to make our Earth a better place. So this day is a very important day, and most importantly, we should treat every day like Earth Day. So let's get into it. Before I move on to everything else, I just want to talk about my journey, how it all began, and why I even started Recycle My Battery. My journey started 6 years ago, back in 2019, when I was sitting down to watch the news. I remember a story occurring on the news that completely disrupted me. A lithium-ion battery completely exploded in a waste disposal plant in California. It caused unimaginable destruction, costing millions of dollars worth of damage. I clearly remember watching of the chaos and everything occur on that day, and it devastated me. So after seeing this incident occur on the news, I felt very angry that nobody was even taking action after seeing something very devastating and disturbing like this occur on the news. And I also felt very sad that our Mother Earth had to go through all this pressure, which is being driven by us humans. So that was when I decided to step up and make a change. So I started Recycle My Battery to bring awareness to the public and also provide them with the opportunity to recycle their used batteries properly in order to make our Earth a better place. This is a problem which we are trying to solve. I want everybody to think about this. How many items do you use on a daily basis that require batteries? Too many to count? Well, almost everyone uses multiple powered battery items every single day. So everyone just think about it. iPhones, iPads, laptops, toys, etc. These are some of the items which we all use on a daily basis that require batteries. We wouldn't even be having this webinar without batteries because I'm talking on my laptop and laptops require batteries. But it's easy to forget just how reliant we are on batteries. So batteries play such a huge importance in our lives that sometimes we forget about just how important they are. Batteries are so common that a lot of people forget about recycling them and they end up in the trash. So not that many people actually know about recycling used batteries properly. Did you guys know that only 1%, I repeat myself, 1% of the people around the world know about recycling used batteries properly? Shocking, right? In fact, over 15 billion batteries are thrown away each year worldwide, with 3 billion being discarded here in the United States. The improper disposal of these batteries causes serious fires and pollution, which puts the lives of people and animals at risk. So batteries, especially lithium-ion batteries, are extremely flammable. They can contain up to 20% of the residual charge inside of it even after it dies. So this could actually easily combust in a landfill and it could cause serious fires. In addition, batteries contain many toxic chemicals and materials like nickel cadmium, lithium, etc. So all of these materials, they can cause severe contamination of the water and soil, as they can leak out of the landfill and they can contaminate the near greenery, and this can impact the animal and plant life. But the chemicals that are used inside of batteries are mined for, and mining is very hazardous for not only us, but our Mother Earth as well. It creates a huge environmental impact. The more mining you do for chemicals like lithium, the higher you make your carbon footprint. These are the Global Sustainable Development Goals. These set of goals were created in the year 2015 by the United Nations. They were created in order to make our Earth more sustainable by the year 2030. The four goals which my initiative, Recycle My Battery, is targeting and primarily supporting is target 6, 11, 12, and 13. I will briefly summarize each of those goals and how we are supporting them later on. This is our solution, how we can help solve our problem. To protect the environment, our organization, RMB, aims to promote and facilitate recycling. We want to offer safe disposal and educate others about this important process, because education is key. You guys all know that I myself cannot do this by myself. I'm still a kid, I'm still in 10th grade, and I cannot do this by myself. So that's why RMB needs help and support in order to promote the cause. That's why we have partnered with Call to Recycle, a nonprofit organization. Call to Recycle is the largest battery recycling nonprofit in the US and Canada. With their help and support, we have been placing free recycling bins in many useful locations, such as offices, leasing offices, schools, libraries, etc. We're basically primarily targeting the areas with a high public footprint. That's where mainly people go. And also, since Recycle My Battery is a youth-led organization, we're targeting schools as well. This is a process. So first, the free-to-use battery bins are placed in the strategic locations, like I mentioned before. Then, once the bins are full, they're transported to nearby sorting facilities. A sorting facility is where the batteries are sorted with their types. For example, there are many bins designated for each type of battery. So alkaline batteries can go into one bin, lithium-ion batteries can go into one bin, and so on. This prevents the batteries from catching fire during transportation to the recycling facility. Last but not least, these sorted batteries are then taken to a recycling facility where they're recycled properly. The batteries are then recycled to be turned into new batteries and other items. Do you guys want to know something cool? For example, let's take alkaline batteries. They have zinc dioxide and manganese dioxide. So these chemicals can actually be repurposed and they can be broken down and they can be turned into a powerful fertilizer to energize corn growth. So that's one thing which used batteries could be recycled to be turned into. Remember the goals that I talked about before? Let me summarize each goal. For target 6, we're helping out by reducing pollution, eliminating dumping, and minimizing the release of hazardous chemicals by the year 2030. For target 11, we're helping by reducing the environmental impact of cities by the year 2030. For target 12, we're helping by reducing waste generation and reducing the excess chemicals and waste ending up in landfills by the year 2030. And for target 13, we're helping by bringing more awareness to people on the importance of recycling used batteries and climate change in general. So how can you help? You can talk to your friends and peers about the importance of battery recycling. Education is key. So how many people you tell, it will benefit us in the long run. You can contact Recycle My Battery so we can do our best to install recycling bins in your local schools or neighborhood. You can encourage others to get involved with R&B or even start their own initiatives. We're looking for more and more change makers out there who are willing to make a change to make our earth a better place. And you can use R&B's free education resources, which you can access on our website. Recycle your batteries to help the environment. Join us as we collectively make the earth a better place to live for our future generations to come. These are our current statistics. We are partnered with Call to Recycle, the nation's largest battery recycling company, like I mentioned before. We have also partnered with Best Brains. They gave us the opportunity to place battery bins in all of their locations, 150 locations located around the world. We have partnered with ID Serve Alliance, and they're supporting us as one of their CSR initiatives. So it's basically composed of many startups and many organizations. We have already recycled 655,000 used batteries and educated over 42 million people. We have a growing team of over 1,000 kids worldwide. So primarily in the US, but we have kids from countries like India, Switzerland, Canada, Australia, etc. As a team, we have spent over 28,000 volunteer hours. We have placed over 1,000 battery bins around the nation, thanks to the help and support of Call to Recycle. These are our achievements, so I'll quickly scroll through each one. So our organization has received 75 national and international awards. So we have won some prestigious awards too, like the Diana Award, the CNN Heroes Young Wonder, and the top 3 finalists in the International Children's Peace Prize. These awards have helped us take our message to even more people, and it's currently doing so now. So let me quickly scroll through each award. There's a lot of them here. This is one of the main spotlights, CNN Heroes Young Wonder. This is also another Spotlight Diana Award. So this is one more thing that I would like to talk about. So we have broke the Guinness World Record for the longest line of batteries in 2023. So we placed 31,204 batteries in a straight line. And we did this to actually spread awareness to even more people about this important process. So we have done recognition from US President Joe Biden and the New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy. We have done recognition from many congressmen and senators, like you can see on this slide. And we've done recognition from many organizations as well. Before we wrap up the presentation, I would just quickly like to go through my roadmap. Now, we would like to spread the message and place bins around the USA, and then eventually find partners that can help us take this around the world. Kids are our future, so we're trying to onboard as many schools as possible. So we have currently a team of 10+ advisors. So these advisors are helping us with all of the research, and they're helping us scale Recycle My Battery and take it to the next level. So these are just a few of the advisors that we have, and we're actively seeking new advisors. To wrap this entire presentation up, this is me. Please do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because if you do, we know you're spreading the change, and you can get daily updates. To wrap this presentation up, I would like to end this with my slogan. If I can make the earth a better place to live, you can. If you can, we all can. Thank you. Thank you so much, NSHSS, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And I hope that this will help us take this message even further. And I hope you guys all learned something new today. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. You're all doing such inspiring work. Personally, I'm motivated to get more involved after hearing like what young people like you are capable of doing. There really are no limits to what you can do as long as you set your mind to it. I have a couple of questions for you all before we wrap things up this evening. So, like I said, you guys are so young and you're doing such incredible things, but unfortunately, not all young people feel that same passion about getting involved, and living sustainably and being an advocate. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face with getting other people involved and keeping them engaged, and how did you overcome them? Any of you can start if you have something to say.
I can start. So for me personally, one of the main issues that I did notice is that we focus more on large scale activism rather than micro activism. And this tends to kind of demotivate people at a certain level because they're like, oh, it's just one bottle. I can't really make that big of an effect, or it's one battery. But I feel like that's kind of what starts the ripple effect that I was talking about in my presentation. And I feel like that one battery can prevent a land fire at a certain extent because there are so many land fires that happen mainly in batteries. And I feel like recycling that singular battery instead of disposing of it improperly talks more on micro activism and how we need to focus on that more rather than large scale activism.
That makes total sense. Yeah, every small step matters, right? Does anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. So
Sure.
to answer your question about the biggest challenges that young people are facing in terms of solving global challenges, I would like to start off by saying that one thing that I noticed over the past 6 years is that young people often feel that their actions won't make big enough difference. So, for example, they can think of something right now in the back of their head, like for example, hey, I want to start an initiative to solve plastic pollution. But at the same time, they might feel that they may not have enough resources to actually make this a big thing, or they may not have the confidence, or they may feel that their actions won't make a big impact. And they also lack the resources in order to make this a big thing. In order to solve this, me at Recycle My Battery, I'm trying to make sustainability more accessible and relatable. So I want to make it more accessible among the youth volunteers, make them more like confident, and make them more engaged, and make them think like, climate change, solving problems is really easy. So for example, one thing that I'm working on currently is the battery challenge. So the battery challenge is a fun educational challenge that I started in order to help kids encourage them to recycle their used batteries and take this to the next level and continue and start it in their own societies. So for example, each classroom in a school, they compete to see who can collect the most amount of batteries, and the winning classroom gets a pizza party for their efforts, fully funded by Recycle My Battery. So it's like I'm coordinating challenges like this, small fun challenges like this, in order to help motivate the students and build confidence that anything they dream, they can achieve. And solving climate change is really not that hard if they put in the hard work and dedication. And most importantly, if they have that motivation and confidence anything is possible. So through challenges and through little fun activities like this, I'm helping students get more encouraged and build confidence in order for them to make a difference.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Brandon. Did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, most of the things I was gonna say was covered, but yeah, I think repetition is key, and I think if the ideas of sustainability and environmental awareness are kind of just like drilled into everyone's heads, I think that'll make a huge difference, and I think that'll make a huge difference in like getting people to make healthy habits. Like I know a lot of people would be like, oh, I don't have to save water because like another person is just gonna use up even more water and cancel my actions out. I just think that's not true because like the only way to make change is for everyone to be on the same page, and I just think that's really important.
That's very true. I mean, we can't speak for other people. We can just do our best, right? So since you all have been so engaged in your communities, I'm sure that you've had some support through your schools or like local organizations or things like that. But what are some ways that our communities can better support students like you who are trying to make change, like your schools or local nonprofits, or like what kind of support are you looking for that you think would encourage you to continue your projects and take it a little bit further? Anybody can go if they want to.
Okay, I guess I'll start. So for me, mainly for my school, I started the National Environmental Honor Society, and it's kind of really so what we did was we took our environmental club and we made it go under our honor society in order to get more people to join and for us to be able to have a bigger contribution. And now we plant trees. We have like little recycling projects. We have a wall art in Freedom High School that's made just out of the plastic bottles caps that we collected in the recycling bins, and we have a whole it's like kind of like a whale. It's really cool to look at, and we have like interesting quotes written all over that wall art. And then we are also mainly at the academies of Loudon. There's a whole program under the Monroe Advanced Technical Academy, which is sponsored under the governor's funded by them, and it's called biotechnology, and it relies solely on environmental programs. And they actually run a whole greenhouse, and it's really cool to see because in their greenhouse they have like different plants, different flowers, and every season they always have like themed activities going on. Like for Valentine's Day, they had like hidden notes and flowers that you could purchase and give to your loved ones, and I thought that was a really cool idea. And they also have like a little fish tank that where they have like biomes of different fishes that they're growing to talk about and the environment. And yeah, I feel like schools and local organizations are able to implement these, and I feel like more schools can use this idea and implement it in a small scale or a large scale.
That's incredible. I bet that's really beautiful, your art projects that you're doing with recyclable materials. Does anybody else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sure. So it's nice to hear your response. So one thing that I observed in my school is, yeah, so our school, we have environmental clubs and clubs related to solving global challenges where kids they get like what's the word to it? Like they basically get exposed to these problems and they learn more about what these problems are and how they can solve them. And I'm also actively trying to make an R&B club in my school as well, so that we can actually encourage battery recycling and just continue to fight to end the problem. So that's one thing that I noticed in my school. But the only problem that I noticed is that schools, they're mainly academically focused and they don't give the right resources, the funding, or any networking opportunities. So for example, pretend there's a kid, right? They want to start an initiative or they want to start a project to actually solve a global challenge. In these environmental clubs, they just talk about the challenge, they talk about the global challenges, and they talk about how you can solve them. But they don't provide the resources or the necessary skills and funding in order to help students bring scale their initiatives or actually build them. So to solve that problem, what we are doing is I'm actually the co-founder of another initiative called Grow Beyond Founders. So this is an initiative that is aimed at creating 10,000 entrepreneurs by the year 2030. So through initiatives like this, we're actually helping school children by scaling their initiatives and teaching them the entrepreneurial mindsets and all of the challenges so that they can build their initiatives. So that's one issue that I noticed in my school. I'm not sure about the other schools, but in my school, that's what I noticed, that schools don't provide the necessary resources or the funding or any support that can help them scale their initiatives or projects. They just give an overview, those clubs, they give an overview of the environmental problems and they just talk about how they can solve them. They don't give that much funding or that much support. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, I think that's probably really true. And that starting your own initiatives at your school and trying to do the networking yourselves is really important and really powerful. And I applaud you for doing that because that takes a lot of courage and a lot of time and a lot of
Thank you so
commitment.
much.
And not everyone's willing to do it. So we need people like you guys out there. Brandon, do you want to add anything to that before we move on?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree with your point. I think yeah, schools, I think they could do just a little better job, just like uh voicing like all the different opportunities that there are in sustainability and area. I think at least in my area, there's a lot of different like organizations that students can join that really just like enrich them and teach people about sustainability and action. Like recently, I just joined like the Silicon Valley Youth Sustainability Committee. So that's been a really enriching experience. But like previously, I had no idea about this club, and so I actually did some searching. So I think if schools or other places, like if they just advocated more about like, oh, if you want to, there's applications for this club, this organization. I think that'll be really helpful, just so people know about these, because I think a lot of people just aren't really aware.
Yeah, that's a huge barrier, I'm sure, right? Like just having access to what opportunities are out there. So that's why we're doing things like this, trying to raise some awareness and give people some insight on like what they can do and that the options are limitless. Okay, so to wrap things up today, I'll leave you all with one final question. It's a pretty overarching one, but if you had to pick one small thing that you would encourage everyone to do every single day to live more sustainably, and adopt a habit into their lives that can make a big difference, big butterfly effect difference, what's the one thing that you would choose?
So I would like to start off with that. So there's so many things that you guys can do in order to live a more sustainable lifestyle and actually help towards making the world a better place. So, you guys all know that I would say like recycle your batteries properly to make the earth a better place. But I'll just give a more over like a better like just a general reason instead of that. So one thing that you guys can do is, for example, one major problem is when you're when you're using tap water, for example, when you're brushing your teeth, some people just leave the tap water running, or they just leave it running. So like it just wastes a lot of water. That's one thing that you guys can change. One thing that you guys can change is, for example, when you're brushing your teeth, or you can turn off the tap because you're not using the water. You're brushing your teeth, and when you're done brushing your teeth, then you can use the water again. So that's one little thing that you guys can do to actually make a more sustainable world and live a more sustainable lifestyle. So it's all those small changes that can actually build towards a better and greener planet. So every single change, every single small change counts. That's what I always tell everybody. Every single small change counts. No matter if you're doing it alone, it still contributes to the overall bigger problem.
That's awesome. Does anybody else want to add anything to wrap things up?
Yeah, I can add on to that. For me, I feel like personally, passion for the environment can go a really, really long way. And I feel like educating people about like small everyday things, carpooling is such a major deal, mainly when you get to high school and you see the amount of cars that are in the parking lot, and you figure out how many people actually live near each other, but they choose to drive their car every day. Carpooling can be a major step towards being more aware of our environment. School buses, and I know like as a junior I get it, like once you get your license you're like super hyped, you're like, oh my god, I don't have to go in the school bus ever again. But it can also be its own have its own positive impacts to our environment. And another thing that I was thinking about as you mentioned this question was changing the word sustainable with future friendly. And I feel like when we say future friendly, it's more opening, it's more welcoming, it's more like, oh yeah, like that does ring a bell. We do have a future that we need to look forward to. Climate change is getting worse and worse every day. Ice caps are melting, and so much stuff is constantly going on. And we're instead of saying that we're sustainable by replacing it with future friendly, I feel like when we think about the overarching theme of climate change and compare it to our future, it can be quite a scary thing to think about. And I feel like that might also spark the minds of people and create the motivation for people to make change.
I never even thought about that, but you're so right. Language is really powerful. And, you know, if we pay attention to the way that we use things, we can encourage people to get involved and do all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. Does anybody else want to add any last thoughts before we wrap up today?
Yeah. So I have like one maybe like easier word of advice and then one maybe a little more difficult. So my first one would be mindful about like the things you're purchasing because I know I see at the grocery store, I see at like other stores, like some things that people buy, they just have a lot of packaging. Like if every single thing is like individually packaged, like that adds up. Like in one like box of like chips, like if every single bag of chips is individually packaged, then all that plastic is like way more than what you could buy with like one like large like bag of chips. And I think that just adds up. So yeah, just being mindful of all of that. And then also I think yeah, going back to Samara's uh advice, I think just like helping to just tell others, like if you just see someone else, this might be hard because of like peer pressure and stuff, but like if you see your friends like doing something, or let's say they like litter, you can just tell them to just pick it up or just like change their habits. Like, and I think this can just help make people more aware of issues and just more like it'll just open their eyes. Yeah.
That's so true. If you see something, say something, right? All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. You guys are so inspiring and you're very deserving of all of your accolades and everything that you're doing. And I encourage you to keep going and keep trying. We need people like you that are saving our planet every single day. Thank you all so much for attending. If you have any questions about anything, you can email scholarships@nshss.org and I can get back to you. Yeah, you guys have a great rest of your evening and happy Earth Day.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
Earth
you.
Happy